You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark, and she is now fired back at some of the critics, some of the media. As we know, members of the media have been critical of Caitlin Clark in a lot of places. It's kind of odd, depending on who it is, what network. ESPN's done a lot of hateration on Caitlin Clark, particularly the women on shows like ESPN First Take. And, of course, we know Jamel Hill and all those kind of notorious haters out there involving Clark and her success, things of that nature. Well, nonetheless, she is now fired back because people were coming out of the woodwork. The Fever started slow, and now they've won 5 out of the last 7 games, and they're starting to get it together. I give Caitlin Clark credit. She's not shy. She's not shy. She come back, and she has fired back at the critics and slammed them. Also, we got some very pathetic remarks from WNBA refs. Okay, of course, people have been very critical of WNBA refs because Caitlin Clark is getting her head knocked off out there. And last night, there was another no call, another blatant no call. During the game, it should have been called a foul. It wasn't. And people are getting ornery about that, and I don't blame them. And people are sort of asking, what is the WNBA doing? All right, by now you've probably seen a video where Colin Cowherd came out and said the Indiana Fever, I think, is the 5th most valuable franchise already through 7 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is of the season. They have raised their value. They're now $5 million. Probably by the end of this video, they have passed Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky in value. I contend that they will probably be the most valuable brand in the WNBA possibly by the end of the year, passing the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, by the end of next year, you can wrap it as long as she keeps performing. So the refs come out and made some absurd comments. We'll get to that. So last night, of course, they won 88-81. They beat the Mystics. She had a massive game. Clark, 18 points, 12 rebounds. That was a career high. She had 6 assists, 4 steals, by the way. She shut down negative narratives about the team and explained how the Fever plan to build off this momentum. Quote, I think everybody just loves instant satisfaction in our world. You can thank smartphones and social media. Said Clark, who also recorded 6 assists, 4 steals. No one came in here and said, we're going to be WNBA champions from day one in our locker room. That was never our goal. Our goal was to get back to the playoffs, and we're fighting for that every single night. Look at that look on her face. Woo! She's charged up. Look at that look right there. I love it. I love it. This is the first time we won 4 home games in a row since 2015. You have to have the perspective on things, and that goes for life too. Like, have perspective on life. And there just needs to be solid perspective on what this team can accomplish, and I think everybody in the locker room had that. Nobody hung our heads. We had the hardest part of our schedule. I said once they got past that, they were going to win some of these games. We didn't get to practice much. Yeah, they had to cut back on their practicing because they had so many games clustered close together. The worst WNBA schedule for any team ever to start a season. And after they started getting some rest, they got in some breaks in between games, they started getting some practicing in. We didn't get to practice much, and we're playing with the most inexperienced team in the WNBA. So, I mean, I think this group is starting to click and build some chemistry. It's one day at a time. But like I said, everybody loves instant satisfaction. I mean, she went on a rant here. But sure, we have probably loved that too. But I think we all kept a good perspective on knowing we need to get better one step at a time, and that's what we're continuing to do, even though we won 3 in a row at home here. Fever head coach Christy Sides echoed the similar sentiment. She emphasized that it's taken Indiana some time to build chemistry with a young roster and a tough schedule to start the season. It came together last night. 22-3. Aaliyah 22-8-2. And, of course, Caitlin Clark, it was 18-12, 6-4. Good God. The connection between Clark and Aaliyah Boston, it's getting better. You can see it. Some of those passes, Aaliyah's starting to handle them, and she's putting the ball in the basket. I think Caitlin does a great job of finding me, also understanding when she can get her shot out of the pick and roll as well, Boston said. I think that's something we just continue to build over games, practice, and just get a feel for each other. I think a big part of that, Caitlin, with the ball in her hands, she talks to me a lot. So they're currently in 8th place in the WNBA, which would earn them the final playoff spot after a 13-27 season. Think about that. They're currently they got a playoff spot right now. A lot of games left, though. A lot of games left. Officiating on Caitlin Clark, the refs weigh in on the heated dynamic where pros were not perfect. Oh, come on. That's not going to work. I mean, seriously. So, the treatment to the Indiana rookie superstar, talking about bruises after she's getting fouled so much. Bo Borowski is the NBA, I guess, head of officiating or ref that spoke out on this. Dubbed by some as the savior of women's basketball, as getting on the court is par for the game. The rough shoves, swipes, and sometimes scratches and smacks are nothing new. Nothing any rougher than any other newcomer in professional sports has endured. Really? Stop that bullshit. Okay. We know better than that. They go on to talk about Angel Reese and Chennedy Carter and those absurd plays that we witnessed. Quote, I think what's changed is the amount of focus due to the explosion of popularity of the sport, Borowski, who spent more than 20 years as a basketball official, finishing his career refereeing 3 straight men's NCAA Final Fours. So you'll never convince me the level of physicality in any sport has changed much, as the public would like it to believe. Where the calls and the plays against and for Clark get compounded is other variables are brought into the equation, such as social media and players within the league, he said. Okay, well, he's telling you right there that some of these players and things they've said off the court has led to the perception of what's happening. I don't think it's caused any confusion. They're pounding her because they hate her. Let's be honest. I mean, some of these players, some of these teams, you know they can't stand her. Dejanay Carrington, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, Chennedy Carter, Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner. There's no confusion. They've been running their mouth. They can't stand her. They didn't move the needle. She is. They're jealous. They're petty. They're probably prejudiced at this point. Let's just be, let's not sugarcoat anything. And it compounds into a we've never seen this before moment, said Borowski. We've seen it, and by the way, she's handling it with extreme grace. Just because she's handling it well doesn't mean you shouldn't get it right. After a flagrant foul to Clark's head Sunday against the Sky, Clark said, it's just part of basketball. It is what it is. Trying to make a play on the ball, get the block, it happens. She's going to take the high road. So many of these other players could take a page out of Caitlin Clark because she's handling this very professionally. She could lose her shit out there. Reese said the foul was not intentional. It was a basketball play. Okay, if you say so. The way Clark is being officiated, calls and non-calls, 3 technical fouls she accumulated, flagrant hits. The grabs and the flopping from both sides has been scrutinized in a way no other player in the WNBA has been subject to before. I don't think this is a new phenomenon. I think she's challenged because of who she is and the talent she is, said Borowski. Okay, that means you got to pay more attention. You've got to understand some of the narratives from some of the players that are going on around this league away from the court. Whether anybody likes that or not, the referees need to be aware of that. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of people in this league that doesn't love the Caitlin Clark effect and how much her success has rose the popularity of the sport, which is amazing because they all stand to make more money. I think the referees are even part of that. I do believe that. Becky Hammond, Cheryl Reeve, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, all the names we've talked about over and over again that we know can't stand her. I think the refs are not huge fans either. And I think they're purposely, in a lot of ways, not calling. You know what? I'm going to say it. They're purposely not doing a lot, I think. I believe that. I could be wrong. I hope they're not. But, I mean, the misses the referees are making are egregious. And from an officiating focus, I think the WNBA has appropriate mechanisms in place to make sure that is taken care of. Well, you got a general manager in the league that said she's being targeted. I think a lot of us believe she's being targeted. Borowski sees it that there are 3 opportunities for Clark's opponents to be held accountable. The most obvious mechanism is during real time when they witness acts against her, they have the opportunity. They also have the opportunity in game at the replay monitor. And then the league has a third mechanism to right any wrongs as related to flagrant acts. Well, what if you don't call it and you don't get foul shots? I mean, come on. We hold our officials accountable. You better. You better, because you got a lot of eyes on you. Almost 3 million at peak during that game Sunday. I mean, look, refs, you got 4 times the amount of eyes at certain points than you're used to on you. You're going to take shrapnel here. Criticism of the WNBA by fans, many now watching the league for the first time because of Clark. Yeah, but it's not like we hadn't watched the NBA. I've watched the NBA since 1983. I don't want to hear about that shit. Like I've never watched basketball. I came up through the Knicks, Pacers, Celtics, Bulls, Bad Boys. I don't want to hear that. I mean, that was hard too. They targeted Jordan. Comes with plenty of misnomers about their training, pay, and ability. In reality, the path to the WNBA referee is just as stringent as landing in the NBA. Yeah, and that's from Monty McCutcheon, the NBA senior vice president, by the way. The problem they got, and they go on to talk about how much they're pros and they're not perfect, and most certainly we have at entry level we make mistakes. We do, and we hold our officials accountable. That's great. You have to be willing to understand what's going on off the court as well. You do. You got to be aware of the narratives and the targeting that's going on with her, and they're going to have to watch it. Because just last week I did a video. You've got fans talking about turning this product back off now because of the treatment of Caitlin Clark on the court. And the referees, they can stop this as well. Not only could an enforcer stop it, the refs can too. The league can too. They can't. That's ridiculous. That's piss poor response from the referees, in my opinion. If they don't think this is any different, they're clearly not paying attention. You've had for all the people that's tried to go out there and defend some of the actions on the court, there's been just as many people involved with basketball and that's watched basketball that can tell. There's petty jealousy going on. I think there's a racial and certainly a sexual preference element to all this because of the activist nature of the league. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.